Welcome back to the Adventures of a Disney Dad podcast. Chip and I are back, and this week we're going to do something a little different. A lot of people always ask us our favorite Disney resorts, or where would we stay with the kids at this age or that age, and how would we rank different resorts in different categories. So this week we've decided we're going to do the whole thing. We are going to rank every Walt Disney World resort, and we're going to sit and debate them. And I'm a lawyer, so I love arguing. We're going to sit and debate them until we agree on what category to put them in. If you're watching this episode on YouTube or Spotify where you can see the video, you will see our categories, but I'm going to try and make sure that I explain them as well as I can, give the rules of the road. The ground rules that I've come up with here are our categories. You've got the top category is the elite Walt Disney World Resort. There's basically nothing wrong with it. It is the top tier. It is the best of the best. Then we've got the A tier, which is it's elite, but it's got some minor flaws. It may be, a dining flaw. It may be a transportation flaw. It may be a pool flaw. We'll talk about it. We've got the B category, which is just a mid-ranking resort. Like I feel like there's going to be quite a few in this category. Then you've got the C level, which is I'm only staying there if it's a deal or my family is on a budget. Okay. And I think there's a lot of people that are going to find a lot of resorts that they love in that category, myself included. And then the bottom tier, we've got the D category, which is I'm only staying there if there's a great discount or I'm by myself and I'm not with my kids. Because I do think there are quite a few Disney resorts that are unfortunately going to fall into that category, right?
Yeah, I agree. I agree
I
100% there.
and we have no rhyme or reason to the order that we're going to start in. So buckle up because we're going to go through all of them. I think there are 20 that we're going to rank here. And Chip, the first one we're going to start with Animal Kingdom Lodge.
Oh,
Where would you like your gut ranking for Animal Kingdom Lodge? Where would it be in these categories that we've come up with? What are some of the things you love about Animal Kingdom Lodge?
there's really 3 things I love. I love the food is probably number 1. The pool is probably number 2, and 1A is the safari or the savannah. So it's not elite because there is a major flaw, but
What
I
would,
think
what would you say the
it's
major
up
flaw
there.
is? Like the flaw is the transportation, right? That's the quote elephant in the room at Animal Kingdom Lodge.
Takes it takes forever to get there. So yeah, I'm thinking transportation is the downfall. Other than that, if you weren't going to a park, it is might be one of the best resorts in the state of Florida.
I think that you and I agree that it's in tier A, right?
100%. I was thinking there, yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So I think we're in agreement there. Like the biggest downside is the transportation at Animal Kingdom Lodge, but the food is elite. The grounds and the experience is elite. The pools are elite for kids. I mean, these
Yeah.
are some of the best pools that you can find at Walt Disney World.
Kidani, they have, which is part of Animal Kingdom Lodge, they have like a water park-ish thing with a water slide thing in it. My kids love that one.
The one downside that like a lot of people don't realize until you read on a Facebook group somebody's review is that Animal Kingdom Lodge is a big resort. He stayed there one time, and I remember we were in a Savannah View room, and it was a split stay. And I may have shared this story on the podcast, but my wife was like, "I will never stay here again." Because we recorded and it took like 12 minutes to get from our room to walk down to the lobby. And when you see BioReconstruct on X, for anybody that's in the Disney community knows he's like a helicopter pilot or whatever. And so he'll post all these aerial photos and videos of Disney all the time because he's always flying around there. And he posted an aerial photo the other day of Animal Kingdom Lodge. And when you see the aerial photo, like maps don't do it justice. When you see an aerial photo of that resort, it is massive. And it's basically shaped like, a big, horseshoe U to the lobby. And if you're at the opposite end of that U, the farthest away from the lobby, it is a hall. And that to me is a flaw. Like these big resorts where you could have a really bad, room location, I think can become problematic. So that's my thought on that. Next up, we're gonna do, and I feel like that was an easy one to get us started, and we'll stay in that same vein. All three of the all-star resorts. We're gonna include them all together. I know that they're a little unique, and maybe you could rank them amongst each other. Movies having a better theme than music and sports, whatever. But I think Chip, you and I would agree that these are spots. It's got to be a great deal or a solo trip, right?
Yeah, I mean, that or like going on a budget, but it's got to be a great deal because there's not really. I mean, unless you're one of those people that stays at the park all day, but We're you and I are both take a break. I mean, it serves its purpose. It feels like a motel just in terms of the way it feels and it's spread out. But I would also say it's one of those things you probably need to stay at once. Like I think my kids would love to stay at sports one time just to say we did it. But I would think it's a
I
great deal solo trip.
yeah, I would have a really hard time. Not and I don't want to diminish the All-Stars because you and I have stayed together at the All-Stars. So like
Uh,
we are all-star people on this podcast. Don't get me wrong there. But if I've got it in my budget, I'm staying pretty much anywhere else. So, to me, the All-Stars are that bottom tier, and we're gonna go ahead and slide them in there. If there's a really, really great deal, and sometimes there are, like you can find the All-Stars at some points in 2026 for under $100 a night, which
yeah,
is unheard of in the area that we're talking about right now, where like Disney's so expensive. I'm never going to Disney again because they raised the prices, all this other stuff. Like the resorts, we've talked about this on the podcast before. The resorts are not the problem for your budget. The tickets are the problem. The tickets, the
yeah.
food, all that stuff keeps going up. The resorts in general, like there's some good deals, man. So I think to me, if you've got a great deal or you're by yourself and you just need somewhere to stay, it's a great, those are great options there. Um,
Yeah. I
what
agree. I agree with you.
let's jump into one that I think this one's going to be a little bit more controversial. Let's talk about Caribbean Beach. Where would you rank Caribbean Beach here, Chip?
Gosh, I am actually leaning towards I want to put it in solid, and here's why. I think it has two major flaws to put it out of A, but I don't think it's a deal family budget because I think it has some great perks. Number one, it's huge resort. It's spread out, so multiple bus stops, and that's pretty much the two flaws. Is it's spread out and there's multiple bus stops. The positive is the food is actually really good, and the Skyliner.
To me, so you're between tier A and tier B. Am I right?
Yes, yeah.
See, I'm between B and C. I think you're or you're overselling the food. And I feel like, Sebastian's Bistro is something that like some families have a really good experience and they rave about it. And I feel like a lot of them, like, I hate that place. So, to me, like, the only food benefit of Caribbean Beach is that you're walking distance to Riviera.
Well, listen,
You've got that Topolino's access.
with the quick service, we ate the quick service, and it was pretty good. It was just I mean, it was different. We had eaten at Riviera the night before. The other thing I'm gonna tell you, they have a phenomenal feature pool with a great bar.
Yeah.
So that's probably why probably put it in solid, in my opinion.
Yeah. I think we could come to an agreement to be in the B tier. And the other thing about Caribbean Beach, it's usually pretty well priced. So like for the most part, it's going to be not much more expensive than Port Orleans or Coronado Springs, and you get that Skyliner access. That said, like the Skyliner can be overrated. That access. I think you and I agree on that sentiment as a whole. Like if you're not spending a lot of time at Hollywood Studios and Epcot, it doesn't have this massive impact on your vacation that you think it will. It may
Yeah,
for like Chip and I, where we do the resort day, where we take the kids and spend, half a day bouncing around the Skyliner and going to those different resorts. But when you're not going to do that and you're going to be at Magic Kingdom 2 of the 4 days of your trip, like it doesn't make that much of a difference, right?
for sure, I agree.
One other thing that, like, doesn't get talked about enough with Caribbean Beach too is accessibility. And, like, there are ADA available rooms on, the first levels, but those buildings don't have an elevator. So if you are someone that, or you have somebody on a multi-generational trip that isn't great with walking a lot and, maybe has some mobility issues, Caribbean Beach is not a great idea. It is a very, very, very big resort. People underestimate how big it is, and on top of that, it's just not easy to get around, like, in comparison to Grand Destino Tower at Coronado Springs, for example,
Yeah.
and I think that that's just something that people don't think about enough. Let's switch gears a little bit, and we'll go over to the Grand Floridian. Chip, where are you ranking the Grand Floridian here?
I don't know, man. I want to lean towards A. It's a big resort, but it always seems busy. That's like at the pool, and everybody always wants to go there. The food's phenomenal. Like they have a great option of food. But at the end of the day, you're there, but can you get a reservation in there? They have the best restaurant probably on property. It could be an elite. I just it has some
Which restaurant are you referring to?
V&A, Victoria and
Okay.
Alberts.
So, Victoria and Alberts is and, I think this is one where it depends on the kind of vacation you're taking. I think it's got more than minor flaws. I think it's more in the B category, like
I'm
solid.
all in on that. I don't want to. I didn't want to
Okay.
put it in
Alright,
there, but
alright.
I'm all in on there.
And let's talk about it a little bit more. Like, I think we're millennial dads, so to a certain extent, it feels like a little bit like you're going to stay at grandma's, and it's
Yeah,
got that old money feel to it. And to me, like for me and my kids, that's just not something that is really appealing at the price point that it is. And so when you look at the price point and the theming, it doesn't fit for a lot of families. And that's not to say there aren't families that love it, because it is a high quality, like you're getting the quality that you pay for at Grand Floridian. But, man, there's just other places I would rather deploy my budget if I'm going to be in that price range. That's not what I'm prioritizing on a Disney vacation with my kids, kind of thing. The one dining benefit that it has is 1900 park fare.
yeah.
It does help that you've also got proximity to Magic Kingdom. You've got the transportation. It's got elite transportation, elite, location. It's got great dining options at other resorts, right? Because you've got easy access to the Poly and to the Contemporary. So you get Steakhouse 71 by Lulu, all the places we love on the podcast. But I just feel like there's just too many other places that I'd rather stay that it's just a mid tier. I would almost put it in the, like, if it's a good deal, C category, but I'm gonna stick with B because I feel like that's too much disrespect to the Grand Floridian. I'm gonna have too many OG Disney people that are all in my rear about it. The next one we're gonna talk about is Saratoga Springs, and you and I think both love Saratoga.
I do love Saratoga. I think the one thing that's gonna hold Saratoga back is it's for sure busing. There's a bunch of stops, but it has like pools at every different little location. It's got 2 feature pools. It's right next to Disney Springs, so its location is good. You're not really far from anything. I mean, it's at least a B for me.
I think B is where I'm falling on it immediately. And the reason for that, so you have, bottom tier transportation because it's only got bus options. You've got a massive resort. The pools to me are like mid tier. They're good. There are a lot of them. So like if you're on the far end of the resort, it's not going to be, it's not going to ruin your vacation. But they're not in that elite level of pools for a deluxe resort in terms of theming and all the different things that they have. It's not anywhere close to a pool at like Animal Kingdom Lodge. You do get that proximity to Disney Springs, but the dining there, unless you're going to Disney Springs, the dining at Artist Point and stuff is awful. Would you agree with that?
100%. I agree. I mean, we actually ate at the Turf Club and it was one of our better meals, but it's the dining's nothing really to write home about.
The way I look at the dining there is like if I'm booking a reservation, I'm just going over to Disney Springs. And to me that says enough about the dining. Like if I'm booking the boathouse and summer house on the lake and all my meals at Disney Springs, then your dining is not very good. It is, and the quick service at Artist Point is just not great. Next up, we've got everybody's favorite resort except mine, Pop Century. Where are you putting Pop Century here, Chip?
Ooh.
I feel like you and I are gonna disagree about this one.
Yeah, I mean, you're gonna probably say it's a D or C. I'm thinking a
I'm
B.
100% D. Oh, no way. You're not putting Pop
I
Century in the B tier. No way.
yeah, I believe in my opinion, I think it's better than its counterpart. And it's I mean, for a value
Mm.
resort, it's pretty solid for a value resort.
I think that you can't call it for a value resort though, right? Because you're putting it in the same category with the Grand Floridian and Caribbean Beach. So to me, like, I don't know. There's no scenario in my head where I'm booking Pop Century unless I've got a discount or I'm like capped out my budget.
Then we can agree on C.
I think an argument can be made for D, but C I think is a fair compromise here because I know there's a lot of people that think it's like, B level category. Like it's a solid resort. For me personally, I'm only staying there if it's a great deal or a solo trip. because I've had bad experiences there in the past. But
Yeah.
C, I think is a fair compromise for the episode. And let's talk about that a little bit, Chip. Pop Century, the theming is, D, C tier. Like no kids really care about the theming at Pop Century. Would you agree with that?
Yeah, it's gonna be more you and I, like our generation and older, like grandparents would really appreciate it. So the theming, I'm sure it's gonna change probably in the next 30 years, I would hope. Update it a little bit, but the theming's pretty stale. They did just redo the lobby. The quick service is pretty good of all the quick services. They got a ton of options.
They're
And
putting in a
one
coffee shop too. So like it does have some of the better quick service stuff. And there's people that love the snacks there that are unique to Pop Century, some of like the whipped desserts that they do there are pretty good.
yeah.
The pools at Pop Century aren't, any significantly better than the All Stars, right? I think we'd agree with that.
Yeah, I'd agree. I think they might have a couple more, but I don't know. I mean, I've never
The
stayed
the
there,
the
so I can't argue. I can't argue on that point.
The main reason why it's, I think, just slightly above the All-Stars is because you got the Skyliner access.
Yeah.
The transportation is elite. It's, as good as it can get, but everything else is just C and D tier, I think is the upshot of it. The rooms are obviously smaller, so it's got a lot of that going for it too. But Pop Century falls in that C tier. Art of Animation for me would be D tier again, and the reason for that is like the suites are the benefit. So that's the only value resort that you can get a family of six, 6+ in, but they're usually always so overpriced that it doesn't make sense when compared with like Caribbean Beach. Like there's a
Okay.
lot of times that Art of Animation is more expensive than Caribbean Beach. It just like naturally never makes sense. It's got that elite transportation. I think the theming is better than Pop Century, but it's usually more expensive than Pop Century and more expensive certainly for the suites. So I think an argument could be made that since we put Pop Century in the C tier, that you have to put Art of Animation there. But like, I
You
don't
know
know.
what?
Like
You kind of sold me on the price. So if it's more expensive than staying at Caribbean Beach, then I'd put it in the D category.
that's usually where it falls in my experience is that like most of the time the family or it's like close enough where staying at Art of Animation doesn't make sense in comparison to a moderate, especially when you've got, the same transportation considerations. Like there's a lot of times where Art of Animation is more expensive than Port Orleans or Coronado Springs. And that's why, like, to me, it never ends up being an option that I frequently go to because I would rather stay at one of those other resorts. But that said, if you've got, families like Chip and I, where you've got, a family of six, Coronado Springs isn't an option. So, it can fall into that category. So now I'm convincing myself that it's a C tier.
No, keep it a D because of pricing. I agree with that.
Yeah. So we'll keep it there. We'll keep it there. But like that is a great if you get a great deal on a family suite, to me it's a really great option. So let's switch gears here to the moderate category. Let's look at Port Orleans and Riverside and French Quarter. And I think we're going to put both of them in at the same tier. Where would you rank those two? And I'm just now realizing that we have no Riviera on here. So I'm going to include Riviera instead of Old Key West. So we'll get rid of that Old Key West logo and it'll be the Riviera when we get there. But let's talk about the Port
And
Orleans,
I
Riverside, and French Quarter
and
first.
hold on, let me give Old Key West its dues. It probably falls in the solid to fit deal because of food. That's the only reason.
Yeah,
It's a great resort. It's very similar to Saratoga.
it
So
need
Porter,
it needs a zhuzh. It needs some
yeah.
updating. But yeah, we give it some love. But Port Orleans, Riverside, and French Quarter, where do they fall for you?
I mean, there's nothing really to write home about either of them. I love Riverside. I think it has a great shop. I think it has a great. I love it. I love being in there. Like I've stayed at Riverside. I love it, but it's probably a C for me just because it is a nice resort. I think they're redoing it. They're updating it now, but it's nothing. Like I would rather stay at Caribbean Beach than stay at Port Orleans. Either of them.
There's nothing more than solid about anything there at either one of them. That's like the vibes are really great because they're, walking around the grounds is they're gorgeous resorts, right? But from a transportation perspective, it's like D tier unless you're taking the boats occasionally. But the snacks can be solid. So if you go to French Quarter and you get the beignets, or you go Scat Cat's Lounge, like that, those are cool, solid vibes. But there's nothing about the dining that is in any way elite or A tier at all, right?
Yeah. Listen,
I don't know.
I'm gonna throw something out there. Boatwrights used to serve breakfast, and they had like a Tonga toast, and it was phenomenal. This is circa 2008. They don't do that anymore, but it was delicious.
Boat rides to me, like when we stayed there, I was just like, I'm walking right by it. But if I'm gonna eat at boat rides, that means like I'm missing an opportunity to eat a spring roll, or I'm missing an opportunity to eat at Polite Pig, or I'm missing an opportunity to eat, some options at Epcot during a festival. But like, or I'm missing an opportunity to eat at Casey's Corn Dogs. So like, unless it's gonna be better than one of those, I don't want it. Is
Yeah.
that? I mean, I feel like that's like a fair comparison. That's like to me the Disney adult comparison. You're like, is this gonna be better than my worst favorite thing? And if it's not, I'm not eating there. I don't know. I think that's the way I gotta look at it. So let's look next at we're gonna look at Fort Wilderness and Wilderness Lodge together. And we're coming up on Christmas time, and I know that your wife is a big fan of Wilderness Lodge at Christmas time. Where do
Listen,
these two resorts fit for you, Chip?
she is now a huge fan of Wilderness Lodge any time of the year, and I know it's the last place I stayed, but I'm leaning towards Elite. It's
Oh,
hard.
no,
It's
no,
hard.
no, no,
It's
no, no.
listen. It's hard. You're gonna probably say transportation, but the food is phenomenal.
Geyser Point is great. I'll give it
The
to you.
pool is elite. It was never busy. I asked the lifeguards. Listen, I asked the lifeguards. I said, "What's your favorite pool?" They said, "This one. It's a phenomenal pool and it's never busy." And then I was like, "Oh, all right." And then it also has a great quiet pool, which is huge, by the way. And it's fun. It's a phenomenal resort. The rooms are great. The lobby's great.
I
The
feel
f-
like if you're gonna be in the elite tier, you have to have no flaws. So, like, to
I don't know
me, Wilderness
what's the flaw.
Lodge, the flaw is the transportation, for sure.
You have a boat to Magic Kingdom.
Yeah, but you're taking a bus everywhere else, and for the most part, you're not gonna wanna take the boat anyway. I think that I don't know, I think that the dining is not quite elite. Geyser Point is really great, but outside of that, like, I don't think for the most part you're booking a vacation at Wilderness Lodge, like, with dining in mind. Is that fair?
I was not upset with the Roaring Fork at all.
I'm not saying you'd be upset, but like it's not like if you were staying somewhere else close by, you're not going to actively book a dining reservation at somewhere at Wilderness Lodge
Well, I will
or
say
go there
this.
specifically for a meal.
You have all three types of dining. You have a quick service. You have two quick services essentially because you can get quick service to go from Geyser Point. You also have a sit down in oh my gosh, right there on the left. The ketchup place. What's it called? Oh, I just went blank. And then you have Snow White, Artist Point. So you're getting all different three levels of dining, so which is unique to a not every resort has that.
I think you were thinking of Whispering Canyon.
Whispering Canyon, yes, and it's a
Yeah, Whispering
phenomenal
Canyon.
food. It's phenomenal food, but it also at Christmas
I'll
it's
be honest with you. I did forget about Storybook Dining at Artist Point.
yeah, and we didn't go in there, but it's a great resort. It's one of those that we did it. My wife was like, "Yeah, we'll try it." She's like, "I'm gonna hate it," but I could put it in minor flaws because of transportation.
I'm gonna put it in minor flaws because I feel like to be in that elite tier, you've got to be perfect. You've
Yeah.
got to be perfect. That's at least my thought on it. Fort Wilderness, like, I think you and I agree would just be like a C tier.
Well, I
That's a
don't think
very
I'd ever.
specific type of vacation,
I
and
would put it in D.
it's well, like some of those new cabins are pretty awesome. So I don't want to go into that one in too much in detail because that to me is like a very, very unique vacation that you
That's
have to
true.
be going
I agree with you there.
to pick for wilderness. So then let's jump into yacht and beach club. I think we can agree to include these together. Chip, where are you putting yacht and beach club?
I don't think they have any flaws. I think they're both elite.
Like
It's hard. Listen, it's hard because it's hard to get dining reservations at those restaurants. I agree with you there. And I would put yacht club in elite, and I could put beach club in minor flaws. but the pool is unbelievable.
I the pool is elite. I think the location is elite. The transportation is almost elite. The dining to me is like just outside of the elite tier. And the reason is that like would I love to eat at Allen Compass? For sure. Beaches and cream, for sure. They're really, really hard to get, but I feel like the majority of the time I would be spending my meals at somewhere on the boardwalk or at Epcot. I don't think of Yacht and Beach as like I'm booking it because the dining is really great.
Yeah, Yachtsman's
That
good, but you're not wrong. You're not wrong in that thought.
so to me, like, there's some flaws here. So like to me, those are A tier minor flaws. Very, 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 very minor. Like we're nitpicking at this point. But again, that's because to me, the elite tier, you gotta be perfect. You gotta be perfect to be elite. I that
I know
that's
what your elite one is. You might as well just put it in there.
oh, we're not gonna get ahead of ourselves here, Chip. We're not gonna get ahead of ourselves here, Chip. Let's switch gears to Coronado Springs. Where and maybe I'll start because everybody knows this is like my favorite Disney resort. It's not gonna be elite, okay? And that's not what Chip is thinking of. But
No, no.
think it's more in the I would make the argument it's in the B category for Grandestino Tower, and I think it's the C category if you're staying anywhere else. What do you think
Really?
about that?
Dude, the food is phenomenal and the
The
pool is
food is
great.
phenomenal, but the transportation is the worst it can be. You know,
But
because you're not only you're far away, but you're also on the buses. You have the multiple bus stop issue with a big property. The resort rooms outside of the tower, like they're not I like the fact that they're not, Disney in your face themed, but it's not like the greatest property to spend time in, right? In terms of room theming and how they look and,
all right,
that
I'm
kind of
with you.
thing.
I'm with you.
So
I mean, I was making a case for A, but I'm okay with B. You're right because I mean the transportation's similar to Animal Kingdom Lodge, but it's not Animal Kingdom Lodge.
I think Grandestino Tower is the A tier. It's
Yeah,
minor flaws, but the rest of the property is C tier. So to me, you just gotta put it in B and chalk it up.
I'm
And
all
I,
in.
I do think it also hurts that families of four are the max. That like for families like us, like unless you're getting two rooms, you're not staying there, and that just kind of sucks. Like I'm still bummed about that. So let's talk about the Polynesian. The Polynesian is easily for families probably the most popular Disney resort. Are we? Do we have our first elite here?
Yes,
I think we do. I think
I
we
think,
do.
and
And
and it's hard to really. I mean, the only downfall, and it's out of your control, is it's busy in the main house. Other than that, it's a great
it's
resort.
busy at the pool too. It's busy at the pool too. And if we had AJ back on from Disney Food Blog, you could make the argument that the food quality has gone down enough that it's not elite anymore. I think, Ohana and Kona have been, subpar for a while now in terms of, your expectation level. But for the most part, I think families have had a really good experience there. They've got character dining, you've got elite theming, elite pool, elite transportation, multiple different elite transportation options, elite history. I mean, you don't get much better history than the Polynesians. So,
Then the
you
Beatles, right? Is
know,
that what you were gonna say? The history of the Beatles?
yeah, you've got the Beatles breaking up at the Disney Resort. One of the original monorail resorts. Like the new tower gives you that high end option, right? So you can and the dining is like Wailulu is fantastic. So you've got another great, quick service type of option without it, being a full on table service meal. And then you've got the fireworks on the beach. You've got a spot to get a Dole Whip. Like it's got a really good store. I think the shopping there is pretty good.
Yeah.
So it checks all the boxes for sure. I think in our opinion, I think we can agree on that. It may not be like the best price a lot of the time, but I think it's definitely elite. So then we've got three left. We've got Boardwalk, Contemporary, and Riviera. Let's go with Boardwalk next. Where are you putting Boardwalk, Chip?
It's probably either an A or an elite. The only I'm leaning towards A with some minor flaws. I mean, it just seems the theming it kind of gives me a little bit of Grand Floridian vibes, and feels.
Yeah.
But everything else about the resort is phenomenal. We spent almost 2 hours at that resort, just in the shop, walking around, hanging out, talking to cast members. It was awesome. It's probably our next DVC stay.
The boardwalk is, in and of itself, it's a vibe, right? The shops, the dining, it's a really cool place to walk around, after dinner with your kids. I think the dining is not quite elite. The transportation is definitely not quite elite because you are spending a lot of time on the buses. You also get a lot of people that are not staying there, like we talked about earlier with some of the other resorts. Like it can get crowded from the Swan and Dolphin and, people coming over from Beach Club and whatnot. So like those are downsides. I think the bigger problem for me is that the theming is more in that B category of Grand Floridian. It's grandma's house vibes, but I think we can agree to put it in the A. Those are minor flaws in comparison to the quality of the resort, right? I
For
think
sure. Yeah,
I
I
think
agree. Yeah.
that's a solid one. So then you've got the contemporary, and this is probably the one I'm going to struggle with the most, Chip. I think it's elite. I think it is.
It's not elite for one reason.
What is it?
The pool's awful.
You know what?
That's my only downfall on it is the
The
pool.
pools are definitely B category. So you're right. It's not checking every box, but it
Everything
does
else.
have elite location, elite theming. It's got elite transportation, the views. Like I think I let the high of that theme park view still cloud my judgment a little bit. Like that theme park view at Contemporary, like going to bed looking at the castle was just,
But listen, I think if you had a lake view, it's a phenomenal view too.
that's true too.
I don't think there's a bad view there. I think the pool is the downfall of it. And if they updated the pool or changed the way the pool is, I think it would be the best property at Disney. And I think it tops Polynesian just because of their food is phenomenal.
This is also going to be very niche for the Disney adults. It is elite bathrooms
Oh
for
yeah.
anybody that's walking around a resort because you get all those conference room levels where there's empty bathrooms where you're not getting 900 people in there, so they're clean and they're quiet and you can be away from people for a little bit, which is, to me that's elite bathroom material for sure. But putting that aside, that I think we can agree that it's got some minor flaws. Then we're coming to the finale, the Riviera, where my wife is not calling it elite. She's not calling it elite, but I'm making the argument it is elite.
I'm gonna go back to it's got the same issue the Contemporary has.
No way. But the pools at Riviera are phenomenal. They've got a kid pool with a slide. They've got an adult pool, they've got a quiet pool. My kids loved the pool. It's not as good as some of the other elite pools, but it's an elite pool, I think.
What pool would you compare it to?
It's not as good as Animal Kingdom Lodge, but it's like right under Caribbean Beaches pool.
It's like one of the Saratoga's feature pools. I think their pool's
No,
really
I think it's
nice.
better than I think it's better than Saratoga, Grand Floridian, and Coronado's pools. Like, cause
Listen,
it's got, it's got
everything else checks it off.
the splash pad and the water slide and all those things that your kids want. Plus, it's got its own quiet pool for adults. And it's also got some other great activities. That's one thing we didn't talk about with a lot of these resorts is like there's a lot of other activities at the resort too. It's got the bocce ball and it's got the ice cream shop. It's got the coffee shop. It's got the library for you to go and get some work done. I think it's elite. I think it's elite.
Listen, here's why I'll say it's elite. It has the best pool bathroom. We're going back to the adult. You know exactly where I'm talking about.
I do know what
Great,
you're talking
great
about.
bathroom that's air conditioned. That's a
You
key.
know, the other thing that like it's got the beachfront access, so you can go and chill out, right? So and you can watch the Skyliner and stuff like that. It's got Bar Riva, which phenomenal quick service poolside bar. I think we would agree it's got the best pizza at Walt Disney World at Primo Piatto, which is quick service. So like
Yeah.
the quick service is certainly elite. And then it's got the elite transportation. So, like, to me, it checks all the boxes. Like, and I think it's important to note, like, when we stayed there, my wife was not a huge fan of how small the rooms were. And so, like, for us as a family of five, she was like, this room it's too tiny in comparison to like the 2-bed villa at Saratoga Springs. And I think from my perspective, it's unfair to compare like a standard room to a two-bed villa somewhere else. Like if we had paid for the two-bed villa at Riviera, you could compare the two-bed villa at Riviera to the two-bed villa at Saratoga. The difference is that the Riviera is double the price. So like you're not doing that, you know. But
I don't listen.
that's that
I'm happy with all of our selections.
I think this came out as a pretty good list. And let us know if you disagree, you agree, where we went wrong, where we're stupid. Comment, send us a message on social media. Let us know what you think. We had a lot of fun with this. Chip, I had fun with it. I think these are fun videos to do, and I hope you guys all enjoyed it. That's going to be our final rankings. And again, I'm happy to help you book any of these, right? My services are completely free as a travel agent with the Magic Plus Travel. But that's going to be it for us this week. We hope you guys enjoyed this episode, and Chip and I will see you in the parks.
See you when we see you.